So now that we have even more user stories, and that could end up again more and more user stories, don't worry about it. It's features. The better you can split them up, the better you can estimate them. So that's the next step now, just to get a rough estimation before the sprint starts. How much will a user story actually take me to complete? And an easy way to do it is, if you're experienced, you kind of just open the user story and just give a rough estimate. So if you're an experienced developer who have been here for a long time, maybe you, from this simple user story, since you've done it so many times, you can say, well, this is approximately the entire story. Remember, here we're talking about not only creating the UI or creating the database, but actually making the button in the UI, making the dialogues needed, making the car creation dialogue, making a save mechanism that can actually save the data inside the database so it is stored for later use. That's the entire feature. How much does that take? And maybe an experienced developer will say, well, that will take me 10 hours. But maybe one of the other developers in the team will say, well, that would probably take me 30 hours. So which one is the right one? Now, if we do it on this level, especially in the beginning when you're not that experienced, you guys will have a hard time figuring out the exact estimate. It's a lot easier if we start breaking down the entire story into minor tasks, minor pieces that we need to do to complete the feature. And that's the goal of this lesson. We're going to try and break this down. But again, as you get more and more experience, you might just end up estimating the rough estimate on this level. So let me just start up by saying I'll estimate it to 15 hours. I really don't know how long this will take, but I'll estimate it to 15 hours. I'll keep that rough estimate, and now sorry for closing it, I'll open it again, and now I'll start creating the actual tasks that this will take. So the first task will be to generate some kind of button in the main UI, main car UI, to create a car. Okay, so how long will it take to create the button? Hopefully not that long, maybe half an hour. Now that one is created. But I noticed another thing popping up here. A main UI. What? I didn't add that feature anywhere, so I'll just do it real briefly here. I won't go into details. Right now let's focus on the car. So we'll pretend that the UI is already ready. Let's add another task. So now that I've pressed the button, what will happen? Well, I need to make some kind of UI, create a dialog for creating a car. Okay, so that dialog needs to have some buttons. I can specify all of that down here. What should the dialog look like? What should be in here? What kind of buttons? Whatever you guys need. Again, the better you are at preparing yourself, planning yourself, explaining yourself in this, the easier it is to share tasks in a team. So I want the dialog to have some kind of the list of properties here. So I need at least to have all of these guys as input fields. I need to have a cancel button. Button. Let's put in some T's there instead. And I need to have an add button. That's a bare minimum. How long will this take to create the UI? I'm just talking about creating the UI here. Just a basic shell, no data in there at all. And let's just say that will take me 2 hours. Let's add that. So what else should I do? Well, now that I have the UI and I can start typing in, I need, when I press the cancel button, to figure out what to do. So implement cancel logic. I'll do an explanation again, just so this video won't last forever. This might not take that long, because it's pretty much just, maybe you will even add it in the create the dialog, because the cancel is so simple. But what when I do the add? I need to implement the add logic in the front end. Logic in the front end. So what should happen when I actually press add? There should be some kind of way for me to, when I press that, an event is sent to maybe a controller of some kind that then sends the data to the database. So that probably for the first time it'll take me around 2 hours. So what about the backend? There's also some information we need to do there. The backend needs to be told that now a car is sent So we need to be able to save car data in a table in the database. That'll take me a bit more time, because there might also be some logic there. Implement logic for saving a car in the database. At least 4 hours, maybe even more, because this is starting to be kind of complex. I also need to add a way for me to I need to make database tables for car, right? So I need to set that up as well. And let's just say this is the first time I'm even touching a database, so I'll spend a lot more time this time because I need to actually also create the database. So as you'll see, as I start moving here, I get more and more hours here in the total estimate, and I'm actually getting close to my rough estimate, but this might not even be right. We'll look into that next video, how we can then focus on this. But let's say this is done now. I can't figure out anything else that I can do to actually create a car. You guys hopefully find another set here, a lot of other tasks maybe. But now I'm ready to put this in the sprint. So I'll say Marcus ready for sprint. And let's just play around with this guy. I'll just do it very briefly, just so we can end this video. I'll say this will take me 20 hours. I won't add any tasks for this guy. So I estimate this to be 20 hours. I'll just close it and make it ready for sprint as well. So now I have 2 items ready for sprint, and in the next video we'll start to look into how we can then put these into a sprint.